Start. Welcome so much. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much, rather, for convening in such short notice. We have brought you together this afternoon to provide an update on the status of Head Start services that are being administered by the nonprofit called Sullivan County Head Start Incorporated, with administrative offices in Woodbourne, New York, and also operating 3 Head Start preschool sites across Sullivan County. I do want to point out that we will not, for the sake of time and for the volume of guests that we have today, we will not be taking questions today, but remain committed, of course, to keep you, the community, updated as much as we can on the status of Head Start services for Sullivan County in New York. I also want to just point out that as eager as we all are to understand what has occurred here over the last few days, I just want to remind us all that there are real families and real children and real staff from this community whose circumstances have abruptly been interrupted. So I just want us to keep that in mind as well as we continue moving forward. But Sullivan County Head Start's program leadership notified the Region 2 Office of Head Start very late last week to make us aware that they were closing the program temporarily. And they also let the Office of Head Start know at that time that they had already notified staff and families of their intention to close the program temporarily. Earlier that same week, or earlier last week, the program also made it known that they were running short on federal funding that was getting in the way of their ability to continue services. So I just want to emphasize that this decision to temporarily suspend services or to temporarily cease operation was a decision that was made solely by Sullivan County Head Start's program leadership, and it is not and was not an action that was either required or initiated by the Office of Head Start. Now, since the time of Sullivan County Head Start's notification to the Office of Head Start very late last week, we, the Office of Head Start, have met with that program's leadership twice now to lay out options for a pathway forward from their decision to temporarily close. And on those occasions when we have met with the program, the Office of Head Start has explained that we will need them to give a response as soon as possible so that we can keep things progressing forward. Now, the Office of Head Start is now considering next steps to ensure that the services for the children and families of Sullivan County can continue as quickly as possible. And our ability to do that, our ability to keep that commitment, is really contingent upon our ability to have ongoing dialogue with Sullivan County Head Start, as well as their responsiveness. Now, in general, in situations like this, the Office of Head Start has options that we pursue when transitions like this one occur in communities. And these options include, for example, deploying an interim provider to administer services until such time as an entity can be identified to continue services more regularly. So our commitment, we at the Office of Head Start, our commitment is to preserve Head Start services in this community for as long as there is a need for services in this community. So to say that in other terms, there is no desire, there is no interest, there is no plan to remove Head Start services or to remove Head Start funding from Sullivan County. The funding, the services will remain, and we will continue to work either with Sullivan County Head Start, Inc. or any other entity that is willing and able to continue services in this community. So I want to make sure that that is clear as well. Now, it is difficult to determine in this exact moment and on this exact date when services will resume, because there are several factors that have an impact on these sorts of transitions, including, for example, the time that's required for an interim provider to transition facilities licenses into their own name so that they can legally operate in the service area. Another transition activity that takes a bit of time is the process, for example, clearing criminal background checks for staff to be hired to work now for this new interim provider, even if they worked previously for the current provider, still, as they are now would be new employees with a new entity, they would have to then have a new certification to make sure that they are still in good standing to be employed. So these are just some of the dynamics that do take some time. And so again, cannot tell you in this moment exactly when services will resume, but repeating myself, we are as interested as anyone in getting services resumed as quickly as possible. In this moment, I do want to just pause to say thank you to Sullivan County Head Start Services, Inc. This entity, this agency has provided great Head Start services for over 4 decades. And they really have been a good program and a strong program for this service area. So we want to thank them. But as we continue working together to identify what's next, we just want to make sure that we all understand what the path forward is. Again, cannot answer any specific or any questions at all, frankly, today. But our commitment is to keep the community informed, and we can do that in a variety of ways. We may host another forum like this, or there may be other ways for us to engage, but you do have my commitment and the commitment of the office that we will make sure that we have timely communication. So with that, I want to thank you for your attention and your presence here today, and this concludes our session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining. And at this time, we will close the webinar session.